Hello, and welcome back to 950 Club Podcast, anime and manga podcast. Today, we're going to have another after-hour special. Yeah, if you checked out the other ones, you know the deal. But for newer listeners, the after hours is essentially us, the 950 Club, me, Jamaal, and Edwin. We are talking anything pop culture. Essentially what we've watched besides anime. And it's a culmination of our early days with the 950 Club, where after our shifts, we would just meet up with each other and just geek out and like let it all loose. And that's usually our all-time great conversations. That's how our friendships became stronger. And with that energy, eventually led to our podcast. So tune in. We're going to be talking about Stranger Things. We're going to be talking about the Obi Wan series. We're going to start off with our conversation as Edwin's an older statesman of watching cartoons.
Like, I have different things that like you guys had like Nickelodeon. Right?
Yes.
That was the big thing for you guys. I don't give a fuck about that shit. You know, it's like,
well,
you? Not that era of it. I'm like, I wasn't, that's not something that I watched.
Okay. Power Rangers as well, right?
No, Power Rangers is a different case.
Right. He's talking about,
different.
I get what he's talking about. Like, he had Saturday morning cartoons.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, like, those
I caught like the tail end of Saturday morning.
Right.
Me
so
too.
To me, those are iconic shows. But like when you move into that Nickelodeon era that I didn't watch at all, you would come to me and say, "Oh, these guys are iconic, Ren and Stimpy, and this and that."
Ren and Stimpy's a case study.
Yeah. So,
see, I wouldn't classify them as iconic though. Like iconic is like
Hey Arnold. I would classify as iconic. I would classify Rugrats like they were like ushering.
Like for me, one of the ones would be Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo's iconic.
Perfect example.
Scooby-Doo's iconic.
Because I didn't even touch that when I was younger. Yeah.
But that was like
Flintstones as well.
I didn't like Scooby-Doo.
That was a certain. I can understand that.
I like you know what? I like a pup named Scooby-Doo, but I didn't like Scooby-Doo.
I like Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons is cool.
I don't remember a pup named Scooby-Doo enough to say anything about it.
Scooby-Doo is just too corny for me.
When it got into
a pup named Scooby-Doo,
I think it was my hatred of Scrappy-Doo that just was like.
See, I like Scrappy-Doo.
I didn't like Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy-Doo talked. It was like, and he like had a full-on like character and voice, and I'm like, what is this? He was so weird. But I think that these kids, I think that Stranger Things will be one of the things that it will be big for them for a long time.
And now the topic of discussion.
And I mean, and then for Netflix, I mean, I don't think it gets much bigger for them.
Yeah, I think I would agree that it's a tentpole thing for Netflix.
Yeah, I think that maybe Narcos is the only thing like after that. Like for women, it might be.
I love Narcos, but
women,
I don't think it's not on Stranger Things level.
No, I mean for women, it might be Bridgerton.
No, I was about to say, like, what are those shows you guys can think of that went past 3 seasons? Keyword, 3 seasons.
Well, Netflix doesn't do 3 seasons.
They've had a few shows go past.
Only
3
Narcos
seasons.
I can think of.
No, because
Narcos is technically 4 or 5.
What was the one On My Block? I think went 4 or 5 seasons.
Okay, I didn't know that.
What? I don't even know that show.
I liked the show, and then it kind of
derailed.
Off the rails.
Yeah. Bridgerton is like about to be season 3, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm kind of conflicted about whether or not I've heard it's going to be 4 seasons, but I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be fine. It'd be similar to Downton Abbey. Yeah.
Downtown Abbey?
Or whatever that show's called. Downton?
It's called Downtown Alley.
Yeah. Oh.
What?
What?
A prostitute joke.
It's called, oh.
No, that's not a prostitute joke.
Wait, what?
I don't know what's going on.
That's a mispronunciation.
It
joke.
is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
or the alley from Cowboy Bebop.
I would just call it Downtown Alley to annoy somebody, but it's Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. Sorry for all the BBC fans out there that listen to anime podcasts.
I know, right? Oh Lord.
There is a Pride and Prejudice.
We are out in the weeds here.
What else went on past 3 seasons?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Dude.
Stranger Things.
Castlevania did more than 3.
Well,
does that technically count though? Because wasn't it like season 1 and season 1.5 and then season 2?
It was a long.
I think they did 4. Didn't Castlevania do 4?
They might have.
Good call. No. Here's the deal. The first season was only like 5, 6 episodes.
That's what Netflix does.
Yes, that's the problem. The second half was
and then
technically
they did the half thing.
Season.
Okay,
I would consider that one full season.
Okay,
I would consider it, but to be fair, if it was a different year or two, and yeah, part of me is like doing this with the anime logic as well.
This whole cable thing about doing like 6 episodes
and
calling that a season.
I hate the mid-season breaks.
Yeah, I agree. Me too.
I hate the mid-season break,
understand.
whether it's streaming or cable.
Well,
don't give me the mid-season.
The reason they used to do that is because they would film a certain number of episodes,
right?
Then they would show a bunch of reruns, and then you would get new episodes because they had to film the new episodes, and so that's what was happening. You got the reruns because they were filming the next block of episodes, but then cable said, "Oh, well, we'll just do that first 6 episodes as a season," and you're just like, what?
Yeah,
because it was usually just like 1 or 2 episodes while they caught up, 1 or 2 reruns while they caught up, and they would launch into like the next 6, and you would get 6, and so after a while that would end how you would end up with 24
exactly
with the seasonal breaks, not the seasonal breaks,
and
but
eventually evolved into summer break. Like, okay, we'll do it for fall.
Well, for some they didn't have any breaks.
Okay,
like the first season of He-Man is almost 50 episodes.
You're
long.
talking about animation more than anything. Okay, gotcha.
No, with shows, with the earlier shows,
the TV changed over time.
Yeah.
Because before, if you were weekly, you were coming out with stuff weekly. Yeah, that was it. There was no breaks. It's like if you're weekly, you're doing weekly television. But then, like you said, they started, doing different things.
I distinctly remember Arthur like having one season. And mind you, I didn't know any better, and I thought that was it. And like, oh, they keep on showing reruns. And one magical day,
there was a new episode.
It was like, what the hell is going on? If I remember, okay, it's the Garfunkel episode.
Kids think bizarre things. One of our coworkers, Derek, he just will come up with like the most bizarre things, and I'm just like, no, you totally did not remember that correctly.
Yeah. Oh, everyone has a different experience.
Oh yeah.
They change over time.
Well, that's the thing. Like how would we got this discussion is talking about how Stranger Things is iconic.
It's not.
Well, let's take a step back.
Popular, not iconic.
Let's go back to the Wayback Machine. Stranger Things was an organic, natural, what the hell is this type of show? You know what I mean? Natural, like, what's the deal with this show? And everyone got hooked right off the bat from day one, or at least the fans. They're the fandom.
I ain't get hooked.
There've been criticisms, don't get me wrong. People didn't like it initially.
I thought it was cool. I ain't getting hooked on it, though.
But the majority did.
I thought that they had, like, these guys were of that age where they had a lot of nostalgia for the 80s.
Yeah. To the T.
And they had obviously read and watched a lot of Stephen King material.
Firestarter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they were going to do something based on those kind of almost an homage to those storylines.
A Twilight Zone, like, energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember watching, and there hadn't been anything like this in a long time.
Yes.
I mean, there was kind of like a drought.
I agree with that.
Because these sci-fi ideas had kind of like gone away.
Yeah, and you have mentioned that you have had problems with sci-fi with Netflix too, and this is like the closest one, I would argue. And Love, Death, and Robots.
Do not
Love, Death, and the Robots is incredible.
Yeah. Well, compared to the other sci-fi stuff that Netflix did, I mean, Jamaal has heard my rants about Netflix and bad sci-fi movies or bad sci-fi shows, to the point where I'm like, not again, Netflix. You will not fool me again.
They keep doing it.
I got fooled too many times where I'm sitting down and like, oh, this looks cool, and it sucked.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Initially, starting off watching it, and this is when Netflix is like, okay, what is on Netflix? Okay, they have movies and stuff. They have a little bit of the original content. I can't remember we're going back to the Wayback Machine because I barely remember the original productions, the first productions they've done. Stranger Things is definitely one of the first ones.
Stranger Things, I think,
What do you
was
mean
one of the
as
first
far
ones that,
as-
like
original content that Netflix did. Like I can't think of like one property before Stranger Things.
Well, they did Narcos, right?
They
Narcos
did
was
other
there.
stuff, but
Yeah.
I think
Narcos
Stranger
is
Things was the first like big kind of transcendent.
Yeah, I think Netflix or Narcos is a little bit afterwards, a little bit. So.
No,
I think Narcos may have
that
come
was
before
before
Stranger Things.
Okay.
yeah.
But Narcos does the thing where it's like every time they go to a different country, they create a new show.
Yes.
So you have Narcos, and then you
South
have
America.
Narcos Mexico and whatever.
Well, its own series. It's technically 5 seasons or 6 seasons.
Netflix had a lot of original content that they did before Stranger Things.
Yeah, I just can't think of it right off the bat.
A lot. Well, that's the thing.
Nothing really hit.
This was the show where I was like, yeah.
I get it.
It was the show where I'm like, people wanted merch, people wanted action figures, people wanted where they could cross merchandise outside of their own little sphere.
Exactly.
Before that, they didn't really have a show that had crossed that threshold.
Yeah.
That had gotten essentially meta, for lack of a better term.
Okay, yeah.
Where it was like, all right, this is a show on Netflix, but this is also something that people are going to talk outside of Netflix.
And it appeals to everyone kind of thing.
Would you think it would be fair to say that it kind of legitimized them in the original content space?
I think they were already there. I think Stranger Things took it to a different level.
Yeah.
I think it took it to like...
Oh,
I don't want to say...
have something kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't want to say like a respectable level, because I think they had movies and programs that were winning Emmys or winning Oscars.
They had movies.
Movies came out later.
Saw.
Movies
I
came
think
later,
that this gave them
the movies they just buy the movies.
Yeah.
But the TV shows, they didn't really. I can't really think
That's
of
the
stuff
thing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
like people that like I saw stuff that critics like said, "Hey, this is great" and whatnot, but it never really transcended with mainstream until Stranger Things. To me,
Yeah.
I think Stranger Things is kind of what, because there was a while that Netflix just kept throwing stuff out there because they wanted to be accepted by Hollywood so bad.
And they shotgunned everything. They tried every product imaginable. And Stranger Things was one of them. They were like, okay, who are these Duffer Brothers? That's cool. We'll give you some money. Not a lot of money. I think you're pretty crafty with your money. So do your thing. We'll just do our own thing and aim for other stuff. I bet we'll have better projects down the road.
They did stuff that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like they did a lot of comedies. They did comedies that had super high production values.
And now I remember. I think the Adam Sandler deal was just before Stranger Things debuted.
Adam Sandler had a deal well before Stranger Things.
That's the thing. And then that was like the big thing. Like, okay, Adam Sandler's going to have like 20 movies.
Yeah. But that was before. That was when they started just handing out deals to creators.
Yeah, and that's why you brought up Edwin, because of the comedy. I'm like, oh, there you go. Comedy. That's the key thing, because there are specials. There you go. Something.
No, well, the specials they kind of leaned into.
Yeah.
But the specials, they some of them they do produce.
Oh, God.
But most
like
of
that,
your bigger people like Cat Williams and whatnot, they just film it themselves and they say, "Here, I have the special for you. Will you distribute it?" Yeah. And they pay them to distribute.
I wonder if that was the case with that terrible Bill Murray Christmas special.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
And that was just after, I think, or just before.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was directed by Sofia Coppola.
You're not missing anything.
That completely went by
Derek,
me.
who is infatuated by Sofia Coppola, if you're listening, Derek, I know, buddy, that wasn't good, and you know it, and you said it too. So,
oh, that's rare. That's rare that he'll criticize.
He was shaking his head the whole time like Edwin.
Yeah, that was bad, and that's the thing. Like I liked I like sci-fi. I like anime. So Netflix producing comedies and
Here and there, anime.
drama.
Here. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like people would tell me about stuff, or like there would be like some kind of Adam Sandler movie, or
Yeah.
somebody else would make a movie, and everybody be like, "Oh my God, it's so good," and this and that, and I'm like, "Where's my sci-fi?
It's something.
Where's
Yeah.
my?"
For me, it's anything. Like, I wasn't that impressed in Arcos, I guess, if it was before Stranger Things. We don't have a timetable. This is part of the game.
Yeah. Where's my
We have a
sci-fi?
timetable. I'll find it.
All right.
Where's
'Cause
my
I'm curious
sci-fi? Where's my anime?
Because it's almost 10 years ago.
And they produced some stuff where they had stuff from certain studios that okay I liked, like we could do a whole special on
Anime
the-
and Netflix.
Netflix
Because
the
it
stuff
did,
on, yeah.
it did usher in Full Metal Alchemist for the mass populace.
But
It did.
it's almost like Cowboy Bebop, that horrible Cowboy Bebop
Reboot,
live action that
whatever
they
it
did
is.
was almost like, see, Edwin, we hate you.
Yeah.
Not only are we going to take anime and sci-fi, we're going to combine it in the most horrible way possible.
And what we've done before kind of thing.
Just like an FU, a special FU just to you, sir.
Yeah.
Just to you. And that's why we bash Netflix so much, because it's like
we've understood their ploy, because they have like a certain algorithm of what people like, and they're
my
just
thing is,
doing that
like,
just to do it.
who's in charge of this stuff?
Exactly.
It's like, who's in? Because you think about, oh my God, you think about all these television producers who have passed away,
Yeah.
who were kind of like the engines of television back in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, who produced all of these great television shows, and, that people still think about and talk about today. Where's the Netflix person that's doing that? Like, who's in charge of production over there?
Yeah.
Like, who says what show gets greenlit and what show doesn't get greenlit? Who decides, like, who's making what? It's like, who decides who spends what money on this stuff? To me, I'd find that interesting, but then probably not, because probably it's not. And that's probably part of the reason why Netflix doesn't make us happy here at this table. Yeah.
Okay, so the first Netflix original series was
It's gonna be Wild Card or AM Sandler.
House of Cards
Good call.
in 2013.
And that was definitely our enemy.
Wow.
It did win an Emmy.
Because
Yeah.
was House of Cards always Netflix,
I guess so.
or was that I thought it started on another network and then
Like
Netflix
Showtime
picked
or
it up?
something. Or Showtime.
Yeah,
I think so. They did that to a lot of
Yeah.
shows.
Breaking Bad, for example, that was originally AMC, and then Netflix had it.
no,
No,
Netflix
no,
just
no.
threw out the movie.
Well, they produced the movie, but for reruns and stuff, people catching
No,
up.
But that doesn't count as
Fair.
original content.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Like my mom and I were watching this show called Designated Survivor.
Yeah, that one too.
Ooh,
What happened?
they did a Richie Rich show
Really?
Wow, see?
in 2015.
This is before Stranger Things, people. This will blow your mind.
They did that Hemlock Grove in 2013
Okay, this is 20. Okay, that's the key year too. 2013.
because
Not
that's
a
when
lot
they
going
first
on.
started. That's when they first started, was 2013.
There you go.
I tried
With
to
House
watch
of
And
Cards.
Stranger Things is 2015, 16.
Daredevil was 2015.
Ah, Marvel. There you go. Marvel.
the Marvel shows.
The
Marvel
Marvel shows. We
shows.
forgot about the Marvel
There
shows.
you
Did.
go.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
This is why I will have to admit, Stranger Things is iconic and a game changer. It just is.
Orange is the New Black.
But that was
Well,
originally
that-
Fox.
yeah,
Then they
that
turned
was-
it to Netflix.
Yeah.
That was right. You're right. You're right.
That's the thing. They didn't even Marvel.
Wait. What?
I did like that, Jessica.
Was
No,
was
Daredevil.
What
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black wasn't always Netflix?
It was originally Fox. They jumped to different things. I'm not sure the second or third thing. The second thing, I think it was at least Netflix. Then they did another thing after.
I
I thought it was always Netflix.
I thought Orange and the New Black was a cable show as well.
Fox, straight up Fox. No. Yeah, basic Fox, whatever Fox is called. Not even FX.
There was a few different.
It could have been an FX show if it really wanted to.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
There was a what was that other one that was on Fox, that the comedy show that a lot of people liked? that moved over to Netflix.
Oh, Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one too. That one too. That one too.
Yeah, they took over a lot of shows.
Yeah, and Fox has had a weird relationship with the streaming services.
That kind of became a content theory for them too.
Yeah,
We're just going to take over defunct shows.
And they also have FX and stuff like that. They've done stuff with Hulu the last couple of years. Now that because of Disney owning Hulu, so you guys had to educate me that last After Hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It looks like
it's very
Orange is the New Black was always Netflix.
Oh no! It's swear to God, it's Fox.
Look it up.
I'm looking up right now. I'm looking up. all because we're like, what the hell was before Stranger Things? Okay, now.
Okay, so now that it's coming back, they've had other stuff, but still,
the Stranger Things was
like
definitely
Orange is the New Black. They had popular shows.
Yeah,
they had popular shows,
and people like those shows. People like the Marvel stuff,
but nothing on Stranger Things level.
The Marvel thing though wasn't like too high. Like people still like movies more than shows. I would argue.
I think the Marvel shows did well. I
think
they
did well, but
I think they were really well.
Would you say they were like more popular than the movies, like the Thor 2, for example?
No, well you can't. That's not. You can't compare the two. That's not fair.
Well.
You can't compare the two.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm playing devil's advocate because a lot of people will say Mando is better than the new, through trilogy. That bullshit. So,
that's different, though.
We're
talking about different percent. Like, okay, wait. When I think about this, cross promotion and Lynn's
Jagbags.
Shout out to Jagbags.
Jagbags.
And Lynn's best. I think drama series bracket or thing, whatever. I think Daredevil ended up being like a top 4. I think it was like in the top 4.
Good call. I remember that now.
I think it was in the top 4.
I think
people love Daredevil.
Yeah.
That was a really popular.
People love Daredevil.
That's the thing.
The Marvel stuff did well.
Okay. I agree that it did well for them.
But I'm still not. I still don't think it was Stranger Things level.
That's the thing.
No.
Something about that, and something about Stranger Things. Being that staple, that this is it. This is Netflix, right?
It's like you said, they had shows that were popular, but nothing like mainstream where we need to make merch.
Yeah.
For like we
it's
need merch,
yeah.
we need stickers,
yeah.
Yeah,
the people wanted to identify with that show in a way that they hadn't with any of the other shows.
Yeah.
So you're right. It didn't legitimize them, but it did. It took them into pop culture.
Yeah. It took them into that where like there might be because like there's Funko Pops of all the characters
and
multiple
shirts. Yeah. And even like Steve having his own cult following and Billy having his own cult following. Where's Barbara? Where's Barbara? That stupid meme.
I miss Barb.
She kind of makes a cameo in season.
Which one of the kids got in trouble for like outing Doja Cat?
Oh, I don't know.
Y'all don't know this story?
No.
Tell.
Y'all wouldn't know this story.
Well,
no.
So
sorry.
I guess Doja Cat. Do you know who Doja? I don't even know why I asked. So I guess Doja Cat.
I know who she is.
Went into one of the boys' DMs. Ooh. I think it might have been.
So
she slid into his DMs.
No. So she slid into I think one of the boys. I think it might have been Will or something. Like she slid into his. She slid into his DMs and asked him if like who's the new boy on the show that everybody likes in season 4.
Or season 3 or season 4. Specifically season 4. The Eddie Munson guy, the metal guy.
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Probably
Good chance.
him. Probably him. So she went into like, I think Will's DMs and asked about getting the number for the new dude,
Eddie Munson,
and everybody was like, and I guess he like posted the conversation on like social media or something.
Yeah.
And she got mad, and everybody's like, "Well, why did you go to him in the first place?"
That's really weird because it's like, okay, you're gonna go to one of these guys to help you get the hookup.
Yeah.
With one of the other guys
when you're a star.
Yeah,
you're a bigger star than both of them.
Yeah.
Being coy. You know how it is.
I get it. Everybody has that kind of like. Everybody has. I don't know.
Well, the straight contrast with Drake and Millie Brown.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
That happened.
So they were hanging out. I think
they were cash. They were friends.
He was hanging out with Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
But it was like pretty much like grooming type of ordeal.
I think people like kind of like took it kind of like he's grooming her, but I think it was just
they're
like,
cash.
We went to some place together because we're stars and we can go out to famous
and
places.
she's a big rap fan. She's done rap in interviews and stuff. So I don't get it.
Everybody's a big rap fan today.
I'm so confused.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so but that's the thing. Like Stranger Things has gotten so popular that they're like entangled in this like
Well, yeah, it made
front page news.
And these
People
are still
magazine
kids.
Gossip.
I think they're still
Well,
like
it kind of made her a megastar.
Yeah.
People like her.
Yeah, it made her like a megastar.
Yeah.
Like she could write her own ticket for a little while.
And I was
That seems to have cooled down a little bit.
their acting's not that good. Even in the new season.
I think they ruined her character.
Yeah, and her acting's not that good.
Her character was interesting season 1, and then season 2, didn't they had a thing where she kind of like went emo?
Yeah,
was
punk
like,
face.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
And then I haven't seen 3 and 4,
and
but
that's
I'm sure it got
that's
worse.
also the fascinating thing about Stranger Things. People like unanimously hate season 2, but it still carries on. Like people still watch.
Well, the thing about Eleven's character is, like, I watched the first episode of the 4th season, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, what's wrong with her? Why is she? I'm like, oh yeah, this girl had no normal socialization as a child, and so she's still really clunky when it comes to like social interactions and stuff. But they kind of like, I'm like, shouldn't she have had more growth than this?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Because it feels like more time has passed, but it kind of feels like I'm blanking on all their names right now. I'm so sorry. I wasn't really we kind of jumped into this.
Because I'm the only one that caught up, and Jamal hasn't watched since season 2.
I don't plan on watching it.
And Edwin's like in between.
Yeah, I've been watching so much anime that I haven't had time to catch up on.
My sister was bugging me. That's why I was like, all right, fine, I'll catch up. Yeah. God, she loves season 4.
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
And
she loves that cute boy, Eddie Munson.
I haven't gotten... I don't get it.
He's just a dork. He's a metalhead.
Don't get it at all. But
I don't know.
I'm gonna leave that there.
Quasi bad boy.
I have no idea who
Quasi
it is.
bad dude. That is the.
I know. And you only watched the first episode or a couple episodes.
I knew guys like him in high school. They were
mostly jerks.
No, I mean they were just normal dudes, but the girls gravitated toward them because they seemed edgy.
Yeah,
like I knew them, and they were like,
and most of them were secretly dorky, especially metal.
They were just normal people.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just guys like I know this guy. He oh my god, I'm blanking on his name too. I'm terrible today. Sorry, guys.
But
his first name is Jim.
Yeah,
and he's in a band called Jungle Rock.
Okay.
And like he was a rocker, like even back in high school.
Yeah.
But he was a normal guy. It wasn't like he was like, he was
doing coke with like Steven Tyler. Or
no.
It's the perception that the music gets.
I mean,
off.
he might.
Yeah.
He might. Yeah. But it's like they're.
And it's not fair to Steven Tyler. I don't think he's ever done.
Well, I think there's stuff that happens later in the season.
He's done stuff to his face though.
Yeah, that too. And he looks like a granny now.
Well, with this character, I think there's stuff that happens later in the 4th season where they build on his character and he kind of becomes the hero. And that's why I always think that they did Steve dirty, and I'm just gonna.
Steve is cool, and he's the only one who had a progression. I like Steve a lot. The acting's the only thing I don't like about the show. The kids are not that good. Will's okay. Lucas 50-50. The guy with the teeth, he gets strides. He has good strides. Mike, he's the worst. I can't stand him as an actor.
Annoying.
Yes.
He annoyed the heck out of me.
And Elle's been inconsistent. Max is the best one. Max is a pro. And she's the oldest, too.
They just don't seem like they write much for him.
No.
They just write kids on such an elementary level. And I think, like, Edwin spoke on this a while ago when he talked about, like, how American cartoons were written.
Yeah.
And they just write these kids on such an elementary level.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like the Netflix formula. Like
it is.
Their writing of characters are so corny.
Well, you have to remember
That's Mike in a nutshell.
one of the things about like the entirety of like 80s cartoons was that they were essentially just commercials for toys.
Right.
Yeah, Transformers.
So a lot of them didn't need to be complex. I mean, a lot of them, like I've tried to go back and rewatch like He-Man or Transformers.
G.I. Joe.
Well, G.I. Joe is a special case. I'll get into that in a second.
G.I. Joe had something.
But well, G.I. Joe might not have been. G.I. Joe was popular. I think Transformers, and now He-Man has made a big comeback lately.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, He-Man's made a big comeback, especially with that Netflix Kevin Smith thing. But back then, I mean, you go back and you rewatch these shows, and they don't make a whole lot of sense.
No, especially Transformers. Transformers is like gobbledygook.
You just want us to see cool stuff.
Well, with the Transformers, one of the things that they focused on was the people liked the heroes.
Yeah,
and so they made more heroes. But if you think about it from a logical sense, there was enough Autobots to wipe out the Decepticons.
Yeah. and the movie pretty much cemented that too.
Yeah, over and over and over again. It was stupid.
Yeah.
But when you get into the writing for these characters, one of the things while I'm watching Stranger Things is that the time has passed, but these people don't seem to have grown.
No. And that's my biggest flack for season 4.
Big fundamental way.
That's my biggest flack, because you were mentioning how Elle is like, what's up with this girl?
It's like, come on, Joy. Can you spend more time with this girl socializing?
That too? Joyce is horrible
Just
now?
like sit with her.
Well,
and
no, can't save Joyce anymore. Oh my God. They definitely derailed. And people love the season because of the music and the characters. That's the lone reason.
I think that's part of the appeal that Stranger Things is the nostalgia. Because they do a really good job at, like, if it's the 70s, it looks and feels like the 70s.
Yeah.
If it's the 80s, it looks and feels like the 80s. So I think it's mostly the environment around it, less and less about the story. Because once you start to dig into the story, it's convoluted. The characters stink.
Yeah. Well, the motives stink. The acting's
good. And it's just all over the place. It's just like the whole first season, you see this thing in Will, and then you're like, okay, what's this? And they just like slowly they're just like slowly sprinkling in it, and it's like, it's called Stranger Things. Where's the strange? Where's the strange? And they just throw something at you, and you're like, what? Yeah. And then it's just like, all right, we're just going to focus on these kids and watch them go around, and then at the last second, we're going to throw some more strange at you. It's like, no, what are you doing? Yeah, it's like two different shows. Well, like you have the show around the kids, and then you have the strange thing that just kind of.
Well, because it's like you have to have people be vested in your characters, and the way you do that is by giving them like lives, giving them wants, desires,
right,
making them seem like human beings. So you spent a good majority of the episode involved in that, and then they're kind of like thrown out of that by whatever comes up, because it's like, oh shit, all of a sudden, there's monsters here, or this and that is happening, or what is this, or what is that, why is that happening? I have a question for you guys. So now somebody who's watching this right now, somebody younger who's watching this right now and thinks this is awesome and this is cool, 20 years from now, when they go back and rewatch it, are they going to think the same thing?
No. That's why I say it's not iconic.
No. Well, it doesn't need to be good 20 years from now to be iconic.
I don't think, is it 20 years from now, people are still going to think of Game of Thrones the way they think of it. That's iconic to me. I don't think people are going to think of Stranger Things the same way in 20 years, in 10 years.
Game of Thrones is like a special case, though, because those fans were pissed.
We're slighted. We're slighted.
They were. That was almost.
That was a spit in the face moment.
That was a double cross betrayal. Yeah. Like, I think that really, really, really like soured them too, because they dropped those books like
nothing. Yeah.
Like
it's George R. R. Martin's
And,
fault for
and-
not.
and
Oh,
so
you know
many-
what? I'm
and so
sick
many
of seeing
problems.
every week this dude giving updates about this stupid book 6. You've been doing this for over 10 years, dude. Stop lying. And now you're dropping like, hey, we're going to come out with the House of Dragon series, and they're going to flock over to that too. And then it's going to get well received, and he's just going to stop thinking about book 6.
I think with Game of Thrones, it was really, really some of the most best produced television ever. And I think that's why a lot of people flock to it. I think that's why a lot of people will remember it.
And this to go back to it. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that it has its flaws.
Oh, you know.
And I know for me, it was like, this is just too violent.
The acting is kind of 50-50 too, that show too. So
Well,
I know. I do a lot of things with the acting. If I like a character or the performance, I gravitate towards that. I go back to that.
I didn't. I'm not sure I liked anybody enough on that show to keep going. And
Okay.
I really kind of didn't understand why other people kept going. Like, I never liked Cersei.
Yeah, she's a jerk. At the
Yeah,
end of the day.
I never.
I think she was good. I think she was
acting was
good.
phenomenal.
in
Oh, yeah.
that, like,
yeah.
She was one of the better elements.
yeah, because sometimes you just need that. Just like
She was
I'm
the best
purely
actress.
evil.
She was the best actress of the bunch.
Because we
in my
don't have
opinion.
that as much anymore. Like all the villains are like gray area villains now.
She was
Like
bold.
we don't have just those
Day
just
one.
like bad people.
Yeah.
Anymore.
She was day one. Day one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's probably the one that I remember most.
Yeah.
But I did not like her. She wasn't on enough either. Like they kept like getting into all these different characters.
Well, the first season focused on the Starks.
Well, they
mostly.
got into all these different characters just so that they could kill them, and I'm just like,
it got a little formulaic after a while.
yeah, it's like, okay, here's a new person.
We're
You
gonna
know, they're
invest,
just
we're going to make you invest in this person just so we can kill him.
yeah, and it kind of by the 4th season, I was like, okay, this is The Walking Dead. It's nihilistic garbage. I'm out, and I left, and I did not go back. And then when they shat all over the ending, I was like,
told you. You
Yeah.
saw it. You
It's
saw
not
it.
their fault.
Yeah.
I blame George R. R. Martin.
well, I
for
don't
that.
blame the fans at all.
I don't blame the
do.
fans.
I blame the writers mostly that left to do.
I don't blame the
Star Wars.
writers because where's the source? You've been promising us this source material, and you left us high and dry.
Yeah,
And now, after everybody took a squat over it, you want to come out and be like, "Well, that wasn't the way I would have done it."
Yeah, no, he sucks. He does.
Okay, okay. No, they had to deal like, and that was a flaw of HBO, because HBO is usually pretty good at, you know what, we got all we could out of this.
They gave too many liberties.
We're
They
gonna
gave too many
shut it
liberties.
down. It made too much money. It was too big to stop.
I was just
Yeah.
listening.
It was too big to stop.
I forget.
it was huge.
I forget where I was hearing this from, but I was hearing the story about James Gandolfini, how he basically was like at one point he was about to walk off Sopranos, like before their heyday. I think it was just before the 2 or 3 seasons before they were supposed to conclude. Guess what? He put the cards on the table. He's like, you know what? I'll finish it off in stride, but this is what's got to happen. You got a pay raise, and he gave everyone else a pay raise. So Game of Thrones, in a weird way, should have had that moment where the writers, okay, you guys are doing Star Wars. No, focus on Game of Thrones. Get one thing done before you do this, whatever you're going to do for Star Wars. Probably not going to make it good anyway. Focus on Game of Thrones. George R. R. Martin, you're not going to make that book. Just have a little bit of say. What you want in the finale? Okay, we'll make it fair. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to try something because we like these characters.
I don't think HBO made a mistake in letting it run on.
I think everyone,
as long as it
was a
did.
mess anyway. Yeah.
Well, I think it was a really well-made show
Mm-hmm.
that people really loved with a lot of great performances. So I don't think that HBO fundamentally did anything wrong
Yeah.
by letting it go as long as it did. I mean, the whole world was watching this. The whole world watched it. The whole
Yeah.
world loved it. So, and I think the people who really screwed the pooch were the writers and George R. R. Martin
Yeah.
by not Like, look, the show was on for like 5 years.
Yeah.
You couldn't finish a book
That's
in
what I mean.
5 years.
That's what I mean.
That
like,
you were already working on well before that.
They should have had a keen sense of like, okay, something's up.
They should have stopped it.
And where it ended in season 5 was intriguing.
They should have pulled a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
As well. Take a break.
Because like they took like a 10-year break off Curb.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you know what? Just say, look, this is the end of the Game of Thrones story for now. We're going to give you this other stuff. And then when George R.R. Martin comes up with the book, which probably never going to happen, but if he has a concept for the end of the show, then years later we could come back and be like, hey, we're coming back to finish off the story. That's how I would have done it. Instead of like trying to force this ending as you're going. And it just didn't work for the fans.
Well, I think that with anything this big, it's hard to end.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of loose ends that you need to tie up.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have an idea of where you're going. And I think that was what the mistake that the creators made, where I think they kind of left it up to him.
Yeah.
Like, he'll end it for us. He'll tell us where to go. He'll tell us how to end this thing. And I think that was their mistake.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what do we want to do with Daenerys? What do we want to do with Jon Snow? What do we ultimately want their stories to have been? Do we want it to be redemption? Do we want it to be revenge? Do we want it to be growth?
Mm-hmm.
And I think instead of doing any of that, they're like, oh, we're just gonna do really big, spectacular battles, and we're gonna
crap the bed with all the characters from Jesse to Cersei, you name it.
And that White Walker fight
was bland and stupid, and
was at the end of the show for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't like an avid Game of Thrones watcher. Like, I watched a lot of it, just like kind of watching on, but when they built up that White Walker so much, and then the battle happened, and it was just like a fart in a church.
Yeah, and
it was awful.
And how they ended it too was beyond preposterous, because they made two characters look like done. I'm done with these characters. For me, it was Arya.
But see, that's what I mean. It's like, I don't think they decided. I don't think that a lot of the endings for these characters were based on things that were happening within the narrative going along.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, this is how we want to end it. Isn't that a cool ending for them?
No.
They had it was clear that they had no direction.
No.
And it did not. The fans were totally against it.
But that's a weird and ironic thing, because I know you guys haven't seen season 4 or up to the point. That's how I feel about
Stranger Things.
That's how I feel about season 4.
Well, it's not over because there's going to be a season 5.
That's the thing. It should have ended. It should have ended season 4. I'm sorry. It should have.
They can't. It's their money. It's their money. Cash machine.
The spinoff, with the news of Duffer Brothers getting their studio, they're doing a spinoff. They might be doing Death Note. I don't know that fucking story.
No, I think I'll look it up, but I do believe they're doing Death Note.
But ultimately, like the spinoff, I could understand that. Yeah, do that thing.
Well, this is definitely like a world in which, you'd like to see more, because
in a way.
Well, because if the possibility of the upside down and these powers exist, it's like, what else is going on in this strange little universe?
Well, it ties into Star Wars. Yes, I'm going there because, like, Star Wars, of course, had to still keep the story afloat with the fucking Skywalker arc. Move on from that.
Yeah, they're doing a Death Note live action.
Okay, it's official in stone.
They're doing a Death Note live action series
again, and Netflix again. No, sorry. We've had our rants.
They just don't learn.
No,
they don't learn.
They're trying. They're throwing stones in the water.
I just found out
they don't learn
that Disney is doing a Lilo and Stitch live action.
I saw that too.
For the love of God, why?
And stop.
They keep doing
that. Stop. Love of God, stop.
My thing is, it's like, aren't you getting a diminishing return on these live action movies?
In that movie, even though it's animated, it's more real than anything could be.
Disney keeps doing it too. They did it with Lion King. They're doing it with Little Mermaid.
And weird part of Lion King is that it was a play. Like the play was a hit. Like that's live action.
The play was good.
Yeah. So I don't get this logic with the movies. And it's just money.
It's cheap.
That's it.
It's cheap, and you get to use the credibility of the cartoon, of the animation, and the nostalgia.
You get the nostalgia.
It's cheap.
You introduce it to another generation of kids. They can go back and rewatch the original. You can sell merch. I get how that all works, but at the same time, I'm like,
trash.
It's trash.
Yeah, I mean, I never watched the Mulan. How did you feel about that?
I didn't see it still.
You still haven't watched it?
Because
there was a lot of questions about that.
The politics, especially. Nobody's even talking about that anymore. It's like, yes, that's topical.
I'm going to go back to Stranger Things spinoff because I don't want to talk about these live action things anymore. I really don't, because it's like Cowboy Bebop was so bad that... So, Stranger Things. So, like with Stephen King, he created all of these like little kind of like, essentially he created a shared universe before there was a shared universe.
That was the word I was thinking of, universe.
And so I think that there's room enough in the Stranger Things universe to do that. To explore like different aspects of like what happens in this universe.
And I remember my sister telling me this. I didn't see the article or anything, but she was mentioning that they're doing a Stephen King story, Duffer Brothers, and I think it's going to be a movie.
Every Stephen King story has a movie. That ain't
specifically Duffer Brothers. The big, like the
water
biggest,
is wet.
The biggest geeks for Stephen King at the moment. So
man,
whatever.
Well, I mean, they created one of the biggest pop culture phenomenons in a while, so I don't see why not.
Yeah, and technically Stephen King being like the grandfather, the overseer. Yeah.
Well, he like his short fiction. A lot of times, a lot of people don't realize this. His short fiction is actually is better than his novels.
Yeah.
And
that specific,
they're more focused.
Yeah. And that specific story was never published, apparently.
Because, wow.
Yeah, something in those lines. So I'm like, okay.
Well, he writes every day, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
he's probably got.
And he was probably coked out and forgot about it in the '80s. So. And it was specifically '80s. Too,
well, he probably has like.
He finally sniffed the coke off the page. You can read it.
It was from like the last page of it. Oh, I forgot about this one. Ugh.
Well, he probably has. Oh God.
Why are we talking about coke so much?
I don't. You brought it up.
Me and Steven Tyler are doing coke. You know, no biggie.
You keep.
That's what I do.
And not fair to Steven Tyler. He's never done coke. I don't think he's ever done coke.
And he probably did it to numb that face that he has.
Oh my God.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Obi Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Now let's switch.
What do you think?
So now we go into Star Wars.
You obviously think it's better than Boba Fett, so just continue.
Boba Fett. Look, man, I liked Boba Fett. Look, I know we all had our issues with Boba Fett, but Boba Fett almost happens in a completely different universe than Obi Wan Kenobi. It's just totally like yes and no. I mean, they are separated by about how many? Like 20 years? No, maybe 30? Almost?
I'm still confused with the timeline.
Well,
my dad was the whole time I was watching.
So
Obi-Wan is happening before the original
episode 4. Yes.
Right. Well, it happens after the prequels, but before the original trilogy. Yeah.
I was watching this with my dad. My dad the whole time was like, "What are yours? Why is Leia a kid?" I'm like, God damn, it's not that complicated.
Well, I was watching when I went to go see The Phantom Menace. I went with my cousin and one of her friends. She'd seen Star Wars movies, but she wasn't like a huge fan.
Yeah.
And so when we left the theater, she's like, I'm really confused. And I'm like, what? Why? She's like, why did they make a movie about Luke when he was a kid? And that was really bad because if you couldn't make it clear to the audience that they were watching a movie about Luke's dad,
Darth Vader,
then you were in trouble.
Yes.
And the Phantom Menace was.
And my initial reaction too, because I was just getting to Star Wars. I was how old was I? I was around 11 or 12, and I knew the story. I saw the original movies. Then it was something along those lines of like, okay, why are we making? For me initially, I was like, why are they making such a big deal of Anakin? Personally, I'm like, they moved on. He was Luke's dad. That's it.
Well, because the reason we get the story of Luke and Leia is because at the time, there just weren't, the special effects weren't at the level where Lucas wanted them to be. to tell the prequel stories.
Yeah.
That big, large war that involved the clone troopers
More
and everything.
mythical too, yeah.
Yeah, that the technology just wasn't there to do that kind of story. So that's why he did it so many years later, because the technology was there to do the Clone Wars. So that's why he did it afterwards, because that had always been part of his plan.
Yeah.
It had been a plan to do 9 movies. But going back to Obi-Wan and the timeline, Obi-Wan happens about 8 years. If they're 10 years old in Obi-Wan, it happens about 8 years, because they're 18 when they're supposedly 18. So it happens 8 years before A New Hope.
Yeah, and filming, I believe Mark Hamill was at least 2021, I think. And then Carrie Fisher was relatively... No, you know what? Carrie Fisher was around that age. And I think Mark Hamill was like 25, 26, more I think about it.
I don't know, but they're twins, so they'd have to be...
Oh, that's what I mean. They look younger.
And
now you see them now, like, oh, now I understand their age.
Yeah. But then that would make it like almost 30 years before... No. It'd make a good chunk of time, like at least 20 years before...
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, before Boba Fett even happens.
That too.
So
in Rogue One,
it does feel like a very different, like 2 different universes.
Well, the middle threshold there, 3 and 4, like Clone Wars is 2 and 3, episodes 2 and 3, and then the Mando Obi-Wan story between 3 and 4, and Rogue One. Rogue One's like episode 3.9 because they finished with getting the news to Princess Leia.
Well, it's kind of like the prequel to A New Hope.
Yeah.
Is the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I definitely liked Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know that I liked it more than I liked
Mando?
Boba Fett. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Boba Fett.
No, the Mandalorian kind of blows everything.
It stands above.
Yeah, it stands above because the Mandalorian understood the mission.
Yeah, and it moved away from moved away from the Skywalker story.
It moved away from the Skywalker story. It should have moved away from the Jedi, but I'm not going to get into that argument now.
Whatever, I know.
They had to.
They can't avoid it.
Baby Yoda, Grogu.
I know.
Look, man, I'm not going to knock that because look, that gets women and a whole new generation of people on board with Star Wars in a way that it never did before.
And new kids.
Yeah. So,
and he's awesome.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Boba Fett, something totally different. But we're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan's brings it back to the surface.
I will explain why I like that one. Yeah. This show was awesome. I
liked it.
Something about it made it really work. I don't know how else to explain it.
For me, it kind of mirrored The Mandalorian in the way that, like, all right, I had to pull this person from past Star Wars lore to come in and rescue this asset, whether the child. One was a Grogu, one was a Princess Leia. But it kind of felt like it had the same sort of story beats, but different in a way too, because Obi-Wan was just kind of like, I'm out the game.
Obi-Wan's
and the Mandalorian was just kind of like, all right, I'm dragged into this. But this one is like, I'm out the game. Yeah. But they kind of had the same kind of mission involved.
I agree. Yeah. In Obi-Wan, he's more of a cynical side because the Jedi almost wiped out. It's pretty much like extinction, and that's never show that side of it.
Well, because I think that I like his attitude.
Yeah, me too.
At the beginning, because I get it. He was one of the major players. He saw this whole thing fall apart. He knew it was like, we lost.
Yeah, he knew it was going to happen.
He's like, we lost. Like everybody else is kind of like running around thinking that, oh, we got to get together.
We got to start a rebellion.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan is just like, we lost. But I think too, one of the cool things about the show is that it's kind of like a personal thing for him. His defeat is like, yeah, he was there in the middle of all of it.
Yeah.
And he saw who rose to power. He saw why. Yeah. He knew everything. He's just like, we lost. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yoda like is down. I'm down. Most of the masters are down. But at the same time, it was like, and they had to shake him of this. It's like, yeah, dude, this was for him it was a personal loss.
Yeah.
He lost his brother. So the dark, not only essentially he figured like I killed this guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead. And Padme, his friend. These are people who he loved and respected, and they're dead. And so for him, it's like, yeah, my life is over. Everything's over. Everything's done. Everything's gone. And he was not gonna. And that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, what is this show gonna be about? What is important enough to get him off the planet?
I was kind of weary because I thought it'd be kind of like a Logan knockoff. It initially reminded me of Logan, especially with the little girl. I'm like,
I can see that.
Yeah, I could see that too.
That's a fair comparison.
Like it's a PG version.
And I didn't even think of that, but now that you say it, I see it.
Yeah,
and I have my problems with Logan as well. But
I love Logan.
It's great. Don't get me wrong, but it went a little too extreme right off the bat. I'm like, oh, you got to ease that in.
That was a rough movie to watch.
It was, but it was great.
And I watched it. I watched it twice. That
year?
No, that month.
Wow, cool.
Because I went to go see it, and I was like, man, this movie has got some gut punches.
And that's the weird thing. This Obi Wan definitely could have went in that stride. It didn't, and it gave her respect. I like that aspect of it.
I am glad that it didn't try to be like unrelentingly
right.
I was also more welcoming with the aspect of the prequels because the prequels have that stink. I get it. Episode 3, I kind of like because it's just with the Emperor especially, there were fun moments. First and second one are horrendous, don't get me wrong. So, you need that kind of energy from the original ones. Okay, like I was hoping he would say one of the memes, I got the high ground. He didn't, which is fine.
See, that's sad.
Edwin's shaking his head
because Marvel is usually good at like taking advantage of meme culture.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was. Well, I know that originally the script had been written to probably as a movie.
Originally it was supposed to be a movie, and that's the other thing.
They wanted to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I was wary about. I was like, is this going to be kind of stretched out? Here and there instances, but not too much.
I feel like I saw some like fan made thing where they kind of chopped it up so it is a movie.
There's some parts that are kind of repetitive. They didn't need it, but overall seamless.
I thought it paced pretty well.
It does.
I
thought the pacing was pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't like. There were some things that were absolutely ridiculous. But I'm going to try to focus on all the. I'm going to go through the
positives.
The positives, but not only the positives, but like I'm going to go back to Leia for a minute because it's like I knew that. Okay, there had to be something important enough to tell this story.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't expect it to be Leia. But
me too.
But it made sense to me. I'm like, well, yeah, that's important enough to get him away from Luke.
Yeah. And they have that instance where in the original movie she remembers Obi Wan. That instance, that missing link, I guess it didn't need to.
I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and he was upset because he's like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. Why are they doing this and why are they doing that? And I'm like, dude, that's the way these things work.
Nobody cares about consistency anymore, especially in Star Wars. Especially because Clone Wars, I would argue, is like case study being like, it works.
I feel like Clone Wars is kind of like the canon that they use to propel things.
And that's the thing. It made it better. Like, you don't have to make it totally consistent.
That's because Dave Filoni was the producer on the Clone Wars cartoon show.
Yeah.
And he created Ahsoka. And Ahsoka's been like one of the most popular characters that hasn't been in the movies.
The original Mando, I would argue, yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't really been in the movies, but there's an entire generation of kids, and girls and fans, Star Wars fans that love her.
Yeah.
And so he created her, and I think the Clone Wars is canon.
Yeah.
In the sense that, anything can be canon. When you produce so much of something. And so I think that you see a lot of his touches, of course, in The Mandalorian, but also in Mando, because in Boba Fett.
In Boba Fett.
Yeah, because in Boba Fett, you're not really telling the story of Boba Fett from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
No.
you're telling the story of Boba Fett from the Clone Wars. And I think that's where some people might have gotten upset. But with Kenobi, I don't see a lot of that except for the introduction of the Inquisitor and the sisters.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. I think the third sister, I liked her story. I thought for a second they were going to do a bait and switch. Like
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought this is going to be.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought this is going to be Kenobi's show, but not really. It's the third sister show.
Okay, I'm now getting you. Okay.
But they balanced it out really well.
And they clearly explained her motivations too.
Yeah.
They
made it clear, so it's just not like, all right, this person just thrown in there.
No.
Like she was kind of like the thread that carried through.
The
show.
And I knew even with her cartoony, in the big early episodes, her cartoony, evil side or villain side. That's the correct term, villain side. Mm-hmm. Okay, I knew something was up with that. It's like she's definitely putting on a face. Then sure enough, okay, she used to be one of the Jedi. Gotcha. Or kids, younglings. So,
yeah.
Overall great progression. And the thing I don't like is how she got stabbed. Darth Vader essentially like pretty much almost kills her, and she still like for hours and maybe days still has that vendetta. I'm like, you kind of need to tinker that down a little bit.
There were like I said,
because the ending I wasn't too crazy about.
There were things that I thought the ending. You didn't like that fight between Vader and
no,
Obi-Wan?
Not that. Her progression when she's chasing Luke.
Sister.
That's like.
I didn't like it until I realized that was her. That was the end of her journey.
Yeah. In that overall scheme of things, it's just a matter of because how she got stabbed, and she's like, it's like no. You need a setback. She needs a heal.
When you watch it in its when you watch the show in its entirety, because when I was watching that, I'm like, oh, they're gonna do that.
Because you think it's one thing. I agree.
My thing was, it's like, oh, they're gonna go in that direction.
Yes.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yes, me too.
How is she not?
They were doing a Cersei, ironically. Yeah.
A, how is she not dead? B, where the hell did she find a ship?
Right.
C, how did she get
That's what I mean. Felt kind of rushed. Felt like we have to do it because we're Disney, whatever.
How did she get there so fast? It's like, then how does Obi Wan get there so fast? There was a lot of things where it felt very cable.
It's like we missed an episode.
Yeah.
Even Darth Vader, when he wanted to attack Obi Wan, that felt cartoony too. It's like, no, we have to focus on Obi Wan. Blah.
Well, it was at this.
Yeah, I know. That's another thing.
I didn't mind him going after Obi Wan because I understood.
Well, that's what I mean. It could have been worse, but it redeemed itself in a weird way.
See, this is where I think that any project. And Jamaal got into this a little bit with Stranger Things and their focus on the kids.
Yeah.
And so with Obi-Wan and with you have to kind of play a balancing act between what the characters want and what you think would be the right thing for them to focus on. Because it's like, I'll go back to Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 3 is almost a 2.5 hour therapy session for Tony Stark.
It's a weird case study.
Yeah.
Weird case study.
It is. Tony Stark almost died saving the planet. And so now he is lost his mojo.
Anxiety ridden.
Yeah. And so the entire thing is kind of a therapy session for
Obi-Wan.
For Tony Stark.
Oh.
This show plays out as here are these guys who are capable of massive amounts of destruction, and they got to work some shit out.
And they're technically smarter at the end of the day, but they had lapses.
If anything, sometimes it kind of reminded me of Dragon Ball Z.
Good reference. I like that one.
He can't throw out Dragon Ball Z. He don't know enough about it.
Well, it's more of a sense of
I've seen those I've seen those battles.
Because Goku is not the perfect hero.
I've seen those battles. They destroy some shit.
Yeah. No, more a sense of Goku.
They destroy everything.
Yeah.
It only gets bigger the longer the show goes on. Now we're just like, we're going to destroy planets now.
Yeah.
Just casually destroy planets.
Give them time. I mean, they did end up destroying planets.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also in that same trajectory too because we're Star Wars fans at the end of the day. But man, we're deeply wounded. Like this could have went sour. We're talking about new trilogy. Star Wars fans have taken the most abuse. Or I don't know. It's debatable at this point.
I don't think that we bash on the Star Wars fans as well.
No.
We don't.
No, what I mean is like as fans, what they give us with the source material, we've endured. We've endured.
I'm a casual of the casual fans, so my perspective is different than like a Star Wars fanatics thing.
That too, yeah.
So like when I have conversations with like Edwin and other people that I know are like super Star Wars fans, I hear their side, and then my side is just going in like, is this an entertaining TV show or not?
Yeah, you're really set outside the box. Yeah.
It's just it's very that simple, and their Disney Plus stuff for the most part, it's been entertaining stuff.
And
I agree.
Where whether if you're a Star Wars fan, a sci-fi fan, if anything, if you're a casual, just somebody looking for something good to watch on TV, you could watch these shows.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel that with the movies. You as a casual fan, even you're just like, this isn't good.
A different case study.
It's just not entertaining.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So like that's where I come from. But I talk to the people that's like, that's grown and loved Star Wars since its inception, and I can see where they're coming from. Because like you said, they are battered by these movies that they came out with because they're just not good. Yeah. And then I have other casual fans that's just like, yeah, I liked them. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like,
yeah. Even Red Letter Media.
I barely got through the first, what was the Force Awakens?
Yeah.
I barely got through that one.
Even the Red Letter Media, who are infamous for bashing the prequels, went infancy of YouTube and stuff, they liked the Obi Wan show because it goes back to source in a weird way. And something about Obi Wan having that energy, because there were silly moments like when Obi Wan first meets Darth Vader or Anakin in his new form. He's alive this whole time. They're in the middle of salt field or dust field or dirt field or something, and he kind of looks at him. He's like, I think he's going to attack me. What? I'm going to run away. Simple stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't seen this in ages. It feels
no. He ran away so that Vader would stop attacking the people.
That too.
Yeah.
But also like it's a weird you would think so used to like modern day movies and stuff like Obi-Wan's ready. He doesn't care. He's going to attack. No. Obi-Wan is wiser. He's like, oh shit, I can't take this.
I get what you're saying because like we just said, they'll just destroy everything.
Yeah.
In today's time.
And make it more cartoony than it should be.
Well,
No.
I think that Obi-Wan was, like Jamaal said, he was like, he'd given up the ghost on this. I mean, he was like, it wasn't until that final battle where he's like, I can't die here.
Yeah.
I can't, I have to kick myself in the ass and beat this man because I cannot fail these kids.
Yeah.
I can't.
And he had to get over that.
And the same thing.
He had to get over that mental nerf that he had because he was held back by that, by Anakin whole time.
Well, going back to the therapy session with Tony Stark, this was Obi-Wan's wake up call. It's yeah, dude, you messed up. Yeah. You messed up big time. You trusted the wrong person. You messed up and everything went sideways. And you thought that you could just wallow in your pity. No. Yeah. The galaxy, these kids need you. The galaxy needs you.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah, and also kind of weirdly redeeming for Anakin because, with the prequels, Padme, no, we were so used to the memes. We get it. But in this one, it's like, no, I'm out for revenge. I want to get Obi-Wan. It's trying to get that, missing link kind of thing, that missing fight. And also, in the sense of Hayden Christensen, he actually did A-okay. And then he gave Obi-Wan the kudos at the end of the day. He's like, no, you didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself. I killed Anakin.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I felt that he was like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Or more evolution.
It's like, this is who I am.
Gotcha.
It's like, I'm like, he's like, I'm not like this because you injured me.
Right.
I'm like this because this is who I always was underneath the surface.
Yes.
It's like, this is who I was.
I got that
You were
same
just-
sort of
yeah.
feeling too. And I get I get your perspective too, where you kind of think it let Obi Wan off the hook.
Well,
But it was more so for me. It was less about him letting Obi Wan off the hook, and more so Anakin taking the power and like, no, you had zero influence over me.
good call.
This is all about me.
Yeah.
But I could see where it could work both ways, where it did lift that burden off of Obi Wan's shoulders.
More in the movie sense too, because the prequels, there's a stink. Even though they're not terrible at the end of the day, compared to the fucking new trilogy, I can't stand the new trilogy.
It's like these shows. People have talked about how these shows kind of redeem some of the mistakes that have been made in the past,
Like the memes.
and I think that this show definitely makes those movies way better than they deserve to be.
Yeah,
Like you could watch, you could be a new Star Wars fan and watch Obi-Wan, and then you're like, "Oh man, this is awesome! I want to see how
and that's the weird part, because the original Obi-Wan, he was kind of whiny, kind of like weird. Like he didn't really like be friends with Anakin. It was until the Clone Wars, the animated show, that they're coexisted.
They were and they weren't, because you don't see a lot, and that's the thing that's weird about those movies.
Yeah,
is because there's a lot of time that passes,
that's the thing.
but almost in an unnecessary way. You're like, because at the end of it, they're like, he's like, we were like brothers, because so they became, that relationship kind of developed, but we didn't get to see that, like you said, until the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan overall is like a kind of weird monk, and he's kind of his own like element. Like originally when the idea of the movie came out, like that'd be kind of fascinating, more like a self-reflection Obi-Wan, away from the Skywalker bullshit, like his own journey as a Jedi, exiled Jedi, essentially. That's what I originally thought what the movie was going to be. The show goes back to the source. Hey, I gotta help out the Princess Leia. Baby Princess Leia. All right.
Well, yeah,
fair.
because he was essentially supposed to be sitting there as Luke's guardian.
Yeah,
Right.
That as well.
Waiting for
waiting
the day.
for him to show
An overseer. Yeah.
the Force,
Yeah.
Yeah.
signs of the Force coming, so he can take him and train him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then have that relationship being Ben Obi-Wan. So yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like curious to see what they would say about the prequels after watching Obi-Wan, because they are not on the same level as this production.
And they shouldn't be redeemed. It is what it is. It's just more of a sense of like, I don't know. I'm in the fence that the original trilogy or the prequels are they're bad. The first and second one are really bad, and the third one is kind of fun. And so it's like a weird flip flop of like things that work and things that don't work, and people should see how they see it. And my sister, for example, she made my nephew watch from the first episode, mind you, the prequel first episode to the New Hope. I'm like, you gotta do it by year. I'm sorry, that's just the chronological way I would do it.
Well, the Phantom Menace is a racist mess.
That too. In New Hope is
Clone Wars was. I thought Clone Wars was fun. I have a special.
Or you mean Attack of the Clones?
Attack of the Clones. Yeah. The second movie, Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, the porn was hot in it.
I like that one.
Yeah.
But because I feel in an odd way, that one captures Star Wars in a way that I think Lucas intended.
More like Flash Gordon content.
Yeah.
In a weird way. I agree
Yeah.
there.
I think that captures.
And the first one was definitely like, a kid, being a prodigy and whatever.
There was somebody who argued that the Phantom Menace should have just been a 20-minute sequel to Attack of the Clones, or a 20-minute. The first 20 minutes of Attack of the Clones should have been, and I think that would have been a good idea.
Because even Qui-Gon's even more mythical figure, even more of a monk than Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's the prodigy. Like you didn't even get that sense. You get the sense that Obi-Wan knows his shit.
Yeah.
So Qui-Gon ultimately is kind of like a weird character.
Yeah, Qui-Gon didn't
very
really...
distant, very like.
Well, the whole point of Qui-Gon was to show that the Jedi had lost their way.
Yeah, and he's kind of naive, and
this
boy can help us out. Oh, balance the Force.
Well,
I know Qui-Gon. If they ever do a show of Qui-Gon, I'd be curious.
I can't talk anymore.
They might. They might.
I can't.
You never know.
I can't do any more Star Wars.
No, we went off the rails a little bit with the prequels, but your initial points.
But that's my fault anyway.
Obi-Wan was. We all agree Obi-Wan was good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't. Like I said, there was some stuff that was ridiculous, but I thought for the most part the production was awesome.
Yeah,
the battle scenes are worth watching.
And they had that one girl from Game of Thrones, the Indian girl. She was cool.
She was awesome.
Character.
I thought,
and she had a nice little in and out. I'm like, yeah, that's how you do characters, Star Wars.
it breaks your heart to see some of these people die.
Yeah, that one did. That was the first one in a long while, at least for Star Wars.
That was a good one.
Yeah, because with her,
like even Rogue One, I'm like, okay, they served their purpose.
Well, they died heroes.
Yeah.
But I think this character even more so.
Million times. And this is like the beginnings of the rebellion.
Because I'm blanking on her name, but she's such a great actress to begin with.
I've seen a few movies with her.
Yeah, I think she can come across as tough and vulnerable.
And savvy and knows her shit.
And I think that I was like, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's one of those characters where you like hate to lose them.
Yeah.
And
it kind of gave a humane side to Obi Wan because, like, hey, you never know if they would have hooked up.
No, they totally would have.
Yeah.
Obi Wan's a player, man. Come on.
Hey, Padme.
You could see the you could see the sparks flying.
You like that youngling Annie?
They had a chemistry between them.
Yeah, you could see that like right off the bat.
But it like you said, it did add a layer of emotion to it.
Yeah,
and it provided him with extra motivation to like, hey, look, man, all these. I think this whole thing is dead, and we lost, but all these people are still fighting.
Yeah,
and this lady just died because she believed in me. I gotta get this done. Yeah. So I thought it wasn't a death that was.
It wasn't in vain.
In vain, exactly.
It
was a good death, which is good because, like you said, like we were talking about with Game of Thrones, they do get to a place today where you have the shock death. Just for shock value, and this wasn't one of them. This one served a purpose.
Yeah. And good call. And that one was definitely, I didn't expect that, to be honest. And it's like, okay, I see you. Good.
Yeah, I thought she was going to make it.
Me too.
I thought she was going to make it
with Ice Cube's
and
kid.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that was. You know what? I knew he was in the show.
Yeah.
But it was strange to see Ice Cube. Son in there.
It looked like Ice Cube the whole time.
That was like,
but I like it.
Well, I kept having like this weird like,
like
he was cool in it too.
He did well in the role. Yeah, he did well in the role, and he fit the role. Like I could see it. It was just kind of.
Part of me is like, if you saw Darth Vader, you'd be like, "Bye, Felicia."
Well, that was it. There were times where he was making expressions that he looked so much like
kind of like that, kind of like the confused look, like Ice Cube usually does. Like,
exactly. Exactly. I was thinking, Friday.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. I just couldn't like. I liked him. I liked him. He was cool. I thought he was like underutilized.
Well, I thought so too. I thought he could have had an expanded. I think they introduced him a little too late, just a beat too late.
But knowing that character, he's definitely like a future general for the rebellion.
Oh yeah, I think he's definitely going to be in some other Star Wars stuff.
And then overall, the kid Leia is okay. She like definitely was like, I'm princess. All right,
well, she's really young.
Yeah,
so
she was all right.
Yeah,
you can't get flack for kid actors.
Yeah. She was all right. They're always going to annoy you a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
she was okay.
I think she did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And then the fake Jedi. He did good. He was funny in parts. He wasn't legible at times.
What is his name? Cornel or whatever?
Yeah. He was in that comedy show.
He was in that. He was in Eternals.
Sometimes I like him, and then sometimes I don't.
He's kind of like the same guy in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I get and understand the character. I like the character itself. It was just more of the acting performance because he was kind of like, I couldn't hear him for some9reason.
Oh, that's just Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, I don't know what they're doing with their shows.
Yeah.
But whenever I listen, whenever I play them on my television, I have to put the volume
Up
to
the
the
sky
max.
Yeah,
And I'm like, what is this? Am I supposed to have like...
Unless you're watching on a portable something. I don't know.
Well, I haven't watched it on anything portable. I watch it at home on my television.
Yeah, me too.
But like, I don't know if you have this problem where I have to turn the volume up to the max just to hear what sometimes the dialogue.
I'm trying to think.
Well, there's case studies where they do it on purpose, like fucking that one stupid ass movie, Tenet.
That movie was.
I
wanted to like that movie.
Look,
I wanted to like that movie. It was way too long.
I watched.
You saw it too?
Look, I watched Inception. I felt that after watching Inception, I had done my service to Christopher Nolan. I'm like, dude, I watched all your Batman movies. I watched Inception.
Even Batman too. Batman had like, what the hell are you saying moments.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm like, no, I'm not watching Tenet. I don't care. I watched Inception. This looks like the same exact movie. I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
When I haven't yet.
So we're bashing Christopher Nolan and George R. Martin and who else we got on our hit list?
We're not bashing them per se.
Who's on our hit list now?
Huh? Oh Lord. We do not have a hit list.
Ryan Reynolds.
But I think there are things.
Miller.
I think there are things that we like about their productions and things that we don't like about their production.
Yeah.
And
we're never gonna it would be lucky to even scratch the surface of any production.
And then it's like with some people, it's just like, come on, do your job.
Yeah, I agree.
Like George R. Martin, just write the book.
Yeah,
just write the book. You will be relevant after you write the book. Just finish it.
Even if it's unfinished.
He gets mad when people talk about him dying before he finishes it.
Oh,
but it's like that
comes to the territory too, man.
Look, that's happened. That's happened to other fantasy writers
and younger writers too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at Robert Jordan, man.
Yeah, him. Even Vince Flynn. Even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another series that's
George R. Martin finished the book.
Grafton. She died, and she didn't complete her alphabet series.
He's never going to finish. He's never going to finish that book.
No, I don't. I legitimately am starting to think that he never will.
I think it's just a marketing ploy.
I can see that.
At this point, it is.
I think it's just a marketing ploy. I think that's his way of like keeping people interested, so he could throw out some other book that they think is book 6 and it's not. Like he always does.
It's a prequel to the prequel.
Yeah. Prequel to the prequel to the prequel to the prequel.
I think that's all it is. Or here's some short stories.
Nobody wants this.
Nobody wants that.
And then they get it. It's like, oh, it's the book 6. And it's like, no, it's not.
But it's so weird, too, because it's like a lot of like, it's strange because he kind of like altered the landscape in the way kind of like Lucas altered the landscape. Like George R. R. Martin had a seismic
shift.
He was
to science fantasy or fantasy.
Well, yeah. I mean, he brought on a lot. I think there are a lot more. I think that I think begrudgingly we have to like give him credit for the kind of this renaissance that we're seeing in sci-fi and fantasy television.
At least with books, and at least with like.
Well, especially with books, because I think
not too much with television at the moment. Yeah.
Well, no. We've seen a lot of like look, they're producing
Expanse and Foundation.
Expanse, Foundation, the Wheel of Time series.
Yeah, good call.
This new Lord of the Rings show.
That's starting up soon, isn't it?
Yeah,
through Amazon.
Because I think they did a trailer for it already.
Yeah, they've done a trailer. Yeah.
And have you seen it?
I have not seen the trailer.
I haven't seen it yet.
No.
I want to be genuinely surprised because I'm actually a Lord of the Rings fan. So
I saw that really cool like practical effects ones they did.
Oh, nice.
That was really cool.
I saw that too.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Oh.
So I think that we owe him, and I think a lot of like bringing over a lot of new. I think a lot of people who wouldn't have read fantasy and sci-fi before started reading.
Yeah.
I think because of him, he brought over a lot of people, a lot of like non super fans and like casual readers into this.
And it's weirdly like it's just like real life. You just have to like know this character and this and that. Yeah, it's a shift in your brain, but it's also like, okay, I can relate to this. I can understand
I think
this.
there was a lot of people who thought that they couldn't read that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Starting with Lord of the Rings, for example, because Lord of the Rings is on different languages and things like that.
I mean, there was a lot of people, I think, that felt that it wasn't cool.
That too.
To read sci-fi or
kids
fantasy.
Kids that did D&D and all that.
Yeah. Wow. Like that. Those kind of like the realm of the nerds and the outcasts.
Yes.
It was that.
Yeah.
Like people did see it as just kind of
it is what
like
it is.
lame or
well,
beneath.
it wasn't that extreme when I was a kid. It's like, it's like, you read comics, they were kind of like,
I blame the 90s.
well, it wasn't like we just all did that shit. We all did it, but like for some people it became kind of like oh, you do that kind of thing, like, oh, you're into that. It was kind of like
now Marvel's in this regime consciousness and pop culture.
Well, well, because before it was a wedge to like, it was a wedge for abuse and bullying,
name it,
like making fun of people.
Yeah.
But I think that it became, because of Game of Thrones, it became more mainstream.
Yes.
And Marvel, don't even get me started on Marvel.
Exactly.
These kids will never feel that stigma because it is everywhere. And
also the anime and also the manga now. Even though like manga and anime takes its liberties.
Yeah, they live in a world where people don't make you feel as stigmatized for liking these things.
It's becoming more welcoming
as it used to be, yeah. Which I'm
more for it. It's just, and I was mentioning earlier with Stranger Things how like, oh, you didn't like Kate Bush and Stay One. Yeah, it's just part of growing up. Yeah, kids are going into music. Like tomorrow they'll get into like more music than I would ever get into.
Well, that's
all the access, all that outlets, you name it.
Well, see, that's the thing about streaming, and like they have. It's weird in a way because they have access to multiple time periods.
Yeah, and also like region now especially with anime.
Like with the Golden Girls.
Yeah, and that's a revival because of streaming.
Streaming. Yeah. Streaming is the streaming. I think streaming and Hallmark too.
Yeah.
Because like those Hallmark movies got really huge.
A cult.
And like right after the Hallmark movie finishes, it's the Golden Girls. So they're showing Golden Girls reruns. So I think that was like part of it. They kind of just shifted into that. Yeah. And, the Golden Girls are the original Sass Queens.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
and way ahead of time. Way ahead of time.
I agree. That show was like...
They even had like dialogue for LGBTQ. Yeah,
that show was like more cutting edge than shows that came out after it.
Yep.
Like, I think The Golden Girls is a funnier show than Friends.
Oh, million, zillion.
That's not
gazillion.
That's not even.
And from our last after hours talking about Friends, we need a hit list, an ultimate hit list.
Oh, my Lord.
On Friends. Can't wait.
I
would watch every episode of Friends, to be honest, just to have a hate watch. Hate watch podcast. So. That's how much I hate the show. I can't
Lord.
stand it.
Friends is an awful show.
I might be the only person here who actually enjoyed watching it.
Oh,
what's wrong with you?
Hey, man, when it came out, that was when it came out. Now it's like, and I mean, there were things I didn't like about the show. I mean, I didn't like Ross and Rachel.
Nobody likes Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, I was I like
even her best fans. I reckon don't.
I think them. Phoebe, Joey, and
Phoebe's the only one I like out of a bunch.
Phoebe, Joey, and Chandler were like my favorite characters.
Everyone likes Joey, but it's
you know who my favorite character was?
None of
the
them.
off button on the remote.
Oh,
that show sucked.
Oh,
that show is awful.
Damn.
It is stolen. Is stolen from Living Single. Is gentrified Living Single, which was a much better show.
Living Single
sucked.
was Living Single was
miles better.
There were shows that there were shows that were just better. Living Single was one of those shows that it was just better. I mean, it was like a different world. I mean, that show was just...
If only I saw that before Friends, honestly.
Yeah, there was just shows that were just...
A lot of people... Like, it was a... Living Single was a... It did all right. Yeah. But they totally stole the concept of Living Single and put white people in it and called it Friends. And people are just now starting to call them out. And like
Stranger Things, too, that was kind of like the afterthought. Like, okay, this is a simple premise. They got these young people. Whatever. Here's money. There you go. There's our bread and butter.
Well,
NBC.
Stranger Things was just like, let's take E.T. and make it have
Goonies.
a baby. Yeah, Goonies,
Yeah.
E.T. Let's make
Stephen King.
The 80s will have a baby, and that baby will be called Stranger Things.
And people were annoyed at That 70s Show, and that makes me mad to no end because That 70s Show gets this premise, gets this nostalgia, but doesn't, like, it doesn't hammer you on it.
I don't like That 70s Show.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like it. It's not funny to me.
It's because of Foreman. I bet you it's Foreman.
It's just not funny.
All right.
I liked parts of it.
The later seasons suck. They suck.
I liked Red.
Yeah, Red's awesome.
Yeah, Red was one of my favorite parts of the show.
Wait, who's Red?
The
dad.
Oh.
He's going to kick your ass.
I know one of them is canceled, so you can't talk about him.
Oh, him.
Oh,
the Scientologist.
The guy who didn't say much.
Hyde.
Hyde never really said.
Oh, whatever.
He was kind of like just in the background.
He's just a cool douche. Whatever.
I didn't.
Technically, almost all of them have been canceled. Well, Fez, grooming sessions there too.
Yeah.
And then, Kelso kind of redeemed himself, but he had a early relationship with what's her name, Mila Kunis. Yeah.
Well, she lied about her age.
That
so.
too.
She lied about her age.
Yeah.
She was like 16 or so. In the show wanted her.
She got
really
on
young.
the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she was from Russia, or no, I forget her background, but she
wasn't she from the Ukraine?
Ukraine. There you go. Go call. Sorry.
She lied about her age to get on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Foreman's always been the only good, like, decent person there is Laura Prepon. That's it.
Wait, aren't they coming out with a
yes, they're doing
that 90s show or something?
They're doing a reboot. I think most of the original cast.
But that seems more like a streaming stunt. Isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All of it's a stunt at this point.
Well, what's streaming? Because it's not like a regular channel; it's a streaming service that's bringing them back.
God
right?
damn, I can't keep up anymore.
I feel like it's Netflix.
Could be Fox for all I know.
No, it's not.
No, Disney owns Fox now.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know what is happening over there.
Yeah,
production wise.
Yeah,
but I don't see them bringing.
It's Netflix.
Of course it is. Yeah,
the big N.
Yeah. Just like they brought back Futurama.
And another Death Note after stupid, unnecessary live action. Oh, I love it.
Like, you already fail with a live action Death Note, and you're like, we're going to give it to the Duffer Brothers so they can fail again.
And we're recording just after the new Resident Evil series, and media hate with a lot of people. I mean, oh my God.
Does it even have anything to do with the games?
The monsters, from what I've heard. That's it.
A
little bit of original characters like Wesker. I think that's it.
We might have to do like
the anime, the versions of Resident Evil are kind of cool.
Look, this is what we'll do.
Yeah.
We're gonna actually do a special. This is the plan. These are production notes, gentlemen.
All right.
We're actually going to pick 3 productions that we actually like from Netflix, and we're gonna talk about those. I know it's not gonna be easy, but we're gonna do it.
All right, I won't spoil. I already got one in mind.
Okay, we're gonna
spoil it.
This is what we're gonna do.
Love Death Robots. Dips.
Love, Death, and Robots. Okay, that's good.
Dips.
I think we could all agree on Love, Death, and Robots.
I think so.
I've been meaning to watch the next 2 seasons, so there you go.
I can agree with Love, Death, and Robots.
It's wonderful.
We all agree on Love, Death, and Robots.
It's sadly ahead of its time, and it's weirdly like, okay, Netflix, that's a good show. Keep that. Like, and other people can, like Star Wars Visions. Star Wars Visions pretty much like copy that, so yeah.
I enjoyed Claws.
Okay.
Yeah, the Christmas movie.
All right.
About the mailman.
All right. How about you?
I know what you're talking about.
I know. I should have asked. I think I know.
I also enjoyed the Christmas Chronicles
because we kind of share that one as well. I
like Narcos.
There you go.
I love Narcos.
That's Jamal's dip right there.
Okay.
I love Narcos.
All right.
I like
this one too.
They've done some documentaries that I liked.
This one too, I was confused if it
They're
was
documentaries. That Dark Money documentary series.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was really well done. I like that one.
How about you guys in Mindhunters? Do you guys finish Mindhunters or like?
I liked Mindhunters.
Okay, I didn't see the second season.
I liked Mindhunters.
I could not get past the first 2 episodes.
They're tough. They're tough.
Yeah.
Ernie's going to yell at you.
Oh, okay, and this is another one where
Ernie has let me a lot.
This is another show where I wasn't sure where it started originally. I thought it was a different network, then went to Netflix. Ozark, was that originally Netflix 100% of the time?
I don't believe so. No.
Or was it like AMC at one point? Then it went to Netflix.
Was it FX?
Too damn confusing.
Was it FX? Because I don't think that Ozark's...
I'll be the one looking at that.
All right. Give me a second.
I think Ozark's.
Okay, it always has been Netflix.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, and it came out just after Stranger Things. God, I can't stand Mike. Mike sucks. Oh, I hate Mike.
Mike is annoying because he's the kid that just swears all the time.
And I hate that I keep on forgetting Dustin's name.
I like Dustin.
He's cool. Steve is the best of the bunch. Nancy Wheeler. Season 4, this has been her best season. But man,
she's terrible.
She's terrible. And Jonathan I used to like, and he got bad.
Jonathan's a cokehead.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and he's Stephen King's drone. Literally looks like
like Stephen King. Yeah.
Hopper I've been torn on, at least for this season. But he's a good actor overall. Renona definitely downgraded, sadly. And she was great in the first 3 seasons. Maya Hawke. Derek, if you're listening, I know you're thinking I like her. I don't. She played... If I had to be fair, she's actually not that bad of an actress.
Maya Hawke.
Yeah. Good old Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke's daughter. God damn. I like Matthew Modine, though. I do like him in general. I've always liked his movies. Paul Reiser, always been 50-50. Okay, and Billy, whatever. He was only in season 2 and 3.
They're weirdos.
Well, the season 4 introduces a new villain per se. He's interesting. He's just a Hannibal Lecter knockoff.
I'm honestly probably never going to watch that show again. It just doesn't do anything for me. Maybe if I'm bored and have nothing else to do in my life, I might watch it, but
for me, skip season 2.
I'll probably go to sleep. Yeah. I watched 2.
You finished 2 then?
Yeah, because 2 was the one where Elle was going through like emo phase,
and everyone jumped the ship after that episode, and the conclusion was fine. Bob dies, but it's a redeeming, like heroic moment.
Who's Bob?
Sean Astin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that was cool.
I remember. Yeah, I saw that season,
and that was the only highlight of that season. But overall, it was my least favorite season.
I saw the full season.
Yeah. And this season, this current one, just a little bit better than season 2, sadly, because I like season 3 that much. Because season 3, like everything's dropped, everything's like okay. There's bigger things at hand. They put the downgrade on like the characters, but season 4 they kind of rehash it. And I hate it. That's what I hate about it. They're all the characters are great, but it's all like a little messy. Giving more flack to season 4 of Stranger Things.
Oh my god!
I was just listening to all the bad actors.
Jack apparently hates Stranger Things season 4.
Like it's not that good. It's because people like the music. That's the only reason why people are like, "Oh, it's so awesome." Because the big theme of the season is the music. So it's like, okay, I get it. But now you've done D&D, you've done Never Ending Story, you've done. I mean, next season 5, they're going to do a whole parody of Thriller. I guarantee it. Something, because this season is also more like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, you could this just from the first episode. I could tell that there was a more of a focus on horror for this season.
Yeah, and it does horror. That's a plus side for this season.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, dude, sometimes it doesn't have to all be good for you to remember it a long time from now.
Fair.
Yeah. It just has to have elements that, entertain you and give you those memories where you're like, yeah, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
20 years later, you go back and rewatch it and you're like, why did I like this?
Especially season 3, that part where Dustin sings the Never Ending Story. That's hokey. Yeah.
What are you gonna do, man?
Well, that's the thing. That's why the Kate Bush thing is such a.
I know what you do. I know what you can do. End the story.
And that's what they should have done in season 4. I'm sorry.
End the story.
Just end it. It's done. To me, it's done. It's been done. Thank you for tuning in to another great after-hour special from Jamaal, Edwin, and I, the 950 Club Anime Podcast. we would like to thank you, the listeners, for tuning in to all of our episodes. It's been a 1-year anniversary, and yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's one of those things where we cultivated initially with the ethos of anime and manga, but Jamaal on board, he pretty much got us into more emotion with the After Hours, so he's been one of our catalysts, and I thank him personally with that, because it's one of those things where I want to be so technical, so enforced with these things, but at the end of the day, I'm a geek, and I got a lot to say about everything. And Jamaal kind of got that in the woodworks, and that's what we did, essentially. That's how the 950 Club became to be in a weird way. And, of course, Edwin coining the phrase and being the elder geeksman, as it were. And we can't thank him enough. And Martin as well, even though he's only done one episode, we wish he would come relatively soon. So from the 950 Club, we'd like to thank you for the year it's been, and good news along the way. I still don't want to reveal it just yet. Just give me a little bit more time. It's extra special. It's one of those things where I want to make it official through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And speaking of those things, follow, like, subscribe, download, share, follow our pages. Give us our likes. We greatly appreciate it. And let us know. Give us general feedback. We crave it, especially for this session of the After Hours. Yeah, we're very opinionated and very critical. So if you have an anti-stance, by all means, give us the time. Nonetheless, we'd like to thank you once again. Bye-bye.